All praise is due to Allah, and Allah's peace and blessings be on the last messenger of Allah. As my brother has introduced the topic, did God become man? This particular topic is, in my opinion, the essence of what the da'wah has to cover, what it has to tackle and make clear to people. Some people may say, well, when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen, he told him to tell the people Tawheed, Yuwahidullah. The issue of did God become man is Tawheed. It's not Tawheed in its totality, it covers everything, but much of what the message of Tawheed addresses is also addressed in this particular question. Did God become man? Because when we look at all of the various religions around the world, and we look at Islam and the unique concept that Islam has of God, we will find that the vast majority of the religions all trip over this point of God becoming man. People worship the creation instead of the Creator. And by nature, they tend to worship what they perceive as being the highest form of nature, which is man. Even when they're worshipping other beings in creation, you will find there is a link between man and that being. And in worshipping man, ultimately, man worships himself. Now, if we take for granted that the belief held by the major religions about God is generally the same, we can say, as I began, that that belief held in Islam is unique amongst the views of God. It's unique not only in its concept, how God is perceived, but also in the fact that the concept of God has not evolved. God was God and remains God, unchanged in its concept. And we believe, as Muslims, that the understanding of God, Tawheed, which Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, brought, was not a new understanding. Social anthropologists have a way of explaining that monotheism evolved, having concluded that man originally came from an ape-like ancestor. I talked about that earlier. This is what social anthropologists, they have this concept. Psychologists, psychiatrists, they're all sharing this general concept that since they evolved from the same source, and we don't find apes worshiping God as far as they can perceive it, then they concluded that man created God. God is a figment of man's imagination. Some of them, Freud, Durkheim, and others, they have proposed theories as to how did man arrive at the worship or the creation of the concept of God. Freud put forth this, I think it's Freud who put forth the idea of it coming out of the Oedipal complex, wherein he creates a scenario saying that the early human beings, man, his wife, woman, children, that the children, the male children, they loved their mother and were jealous of the father. In this Oedipal complex. And in their jealousy, they killed their father. Now the father was the provider who went out, hunted, and provided for the family. So once they killed him, they had no provider. No protector. The head, one was looking out for them. So they created this imaginary head who would provide and protect them. Myth, that's modern mythology, that's found in psychiatry and psychology. This is what they're teaching. People who go into these fields, they don't know. Each school has its own explanation as to how belief in God evolved or began. So the others, the social anthropologists, when they analyze religion as a whole, they say it evolved, you see. Early man, when he saw around him the forces of nature, lightning, flashing trees, thunder, earthquakes, and all these things, powerful forces of nature. Fear, he was in fear of these forces. And in his tribal circumstance, the head of the tribe is usually the strongest one. This is who he is. He's the most powerful guy, He can beat up everybody else. So everybody else has to submit to him. So what he does then, before they all used to go out and hunt. But because he's the strongest, he doesn't have to go out and hunt. He beats up everybody else and they have to go out and hunt. When they hunt, they take some for their family. They must take some to give to him. Right? This is their offerings to him to win his pleasure. If he is pleased with them, he won't beat them up. Right? So this is the beginnings of the idea of the offerings to the gods. This is how they explain it, right? So in the same way as they rationalize, we appease our tribal chief by giving offerings to him, then